So I'd like to invite Sir Tim, if he's full, he should be somewhere mic'd up. Where are you hiding? There he is, Sir Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web. Now, just to make sure that everybody understands, you go look on the net for the T-shirts that they had made for us. Mm-hmm. His T-shirt said, "I didn't invent the internet." My T-shirt said, "I didn't invent the web." They're not the same thing, but we
20 years behind them.
But we are partners.
And we had on the back of it, when we turned them around, Vince said, "But I did invent the internet," and mine said, "But I didn't invent the web." And we had one which said, "I didn't invent the web" on the front, and "I didn't invent either of them," and that was for Al Gore, who was invited but didn't. So,
all right,
but he couldn't make it.
All right, look, we have to set the record straight. Al Gore helped.
Yeah, he did.
But specifically with legislation, and he early on recognized
he led the way by saying we need to have information superhighway.
That's exactly
right.
Yeah, all right, take it away.
Anyway, all right, okay. So what a lot of things. Yeah, the dance card becomes. There are lots of bad things going down. I won't lift out the. You all know. You've all gone over them in meetings, in pubs. Sitting commiserating with family and friends about the fact that the world out there isn't where we hope to be. The web out there isn't serving humanity as we hoped that it would be at this point. And so I won't go over that list, but meanwhile there are lots of things to remember that are positive. Yes, today is the 70th anniversary of the Declaration of Human Rights. And the human rights, we've had a lot of discussions about the human rights as being the internet as being a new human right, as being, in effect, if you look at human rights in a world with the internet, actually, then you realize that so many things apply, but have to be really rethought because the medium is different and the way they apply is different. We have got this 50-50 moment that we've got to the point. Well, it's very curious because the prognostications were, I gave talk at the Web Summit recently in Lisbon, where a lot of the concern was that the number of people that could use the web was getting to 50-50, but we'd postponed it. The ITU had actually postponed the point when they thought it was going to happen by more than a year. And so all the celebrations, we were going to use this as a trigger to say, hey, half the people online, time to think about the issues around it. Then they said, oh, it won't happen till next year because there's a slowdown. So then all the issue was about, well, why is it slowing down? We don't know why it's slowing down. But now they just revised their estimates and said, actually, it's happened, just happened. So maybe while we were commiserating at that point, when I was on stage saying it slowed down, maybe at that moment it actually did pass the 50-50 moment. But whatever it is, folks, 50-50, if you can't, when it turns from being a minority to being a majority thing, then if that doesn't give you time but pause to think, then what will? We had a lot of people concerned about it when we started the Web Foundation almost 10 years ago. Then we started the Web Foundation because we looked around and we thought, wow, 10% of the world is online. That means the other 90% have a bigger issue. But every time we make the web more powerful, the other 90%, we were soon saying the other 80% are more disenfranchised. So obviously, reasonable to start a foundation. Two reasons. One, because what about the other 80%? What about the other 50%? But in fact, equally, we have to look at the 50% that are connected and realize that life has not turned out so scientific, has not turned out so democratic, have not ended up being able to educate themselves, being able to produce a healthy economy and a healthy democracy as we'd hoped. So the Web Foundation was about both sides of that, about getting more people online, and which is largely about affordability, and it's about making sure that the web, for those who are online, is that web we want. so as we called it. So what we actually announced in Lisbon at the Web Summit was a thing called the Contract for the Web. The Contract for the Web, why a contract? We have had manifestos, we've had all kinds of, in a way, rather sort of one-sided, yeah, freedom, yeah, neutrality, good things, campaigns. But the Contract for the Web is more down to earth, maybe more down to earth for more down to earth times. The things that we bring out are signals of the times, and the times now are complex. We need the contract because the contract is what happens when different parties get together and provide different things. So the Contract for the Web is about, yeah, big industry needs to do something. It's about, yeah, it's about government need to do something and need to understand what to do. And it's about individuals, people actually using the web. Individuals need to behave reasonably and constructively on the web. They need to do their own part to make the web that we want, but also individuals play a role in holding the other two parties accountable. So really important, if necessary, if you find that everything is going well with this contract for the web in the future, then and you realize, except for a government near you has just violated it, then you end up having to get that old broomstick out of the closet again and get the big pieces of cardboard and making your banners and going down to town hall again, because that's what you do as a citizen. And part of getting the web that we want is sometimes means protesting in the streets against government, sometimes it means protesting, but in all accounts, but you have to hold the other parties accountable, and to a certain extent also governments will hold individuals accountable. So we are in a more complex world. You can't just fight for freedom, because when you fight against hate speech, wait a moment, we're fighting for free speech. When you fight for the right to be able to face and determine the identity of your attacker when you are maligned, which is one of the rights of a human being in a lot of democracies, well, that's a counter on the internet to this right to have anonymity. So in fact, we realize that life is more complicated. We have to instill systems. We have to put in systems where it's not just about fighting for a simplistic right. It's about realizing that these things that is complicated. That in fact, social networks end up having to put in situations where they're judging that line. And if they're judging that line, then shouldn't they be judging that? How can they judge that line on behalf of society? What normally happens when somebody judges that line, when somebody makes a decision as to what's appropriate, then you have a way of appealing it to court. So you end up with a judicial system. And we haven't, around social networks, we don't have this complicated set of, we haven't really decided where the line was. It's very hard because people in different countries and in different states and different houses in your town believe that line should be in different places. So we have a complicated world. But lots of positive things happening. By the way, watch out coming out for in your email box or out on the web, the World Economic Forum, the Digital Stewards, I'm a member of, producing a report which pulls out a few priorities for which comes out of the work from the World Economic Forum, stuff at Davos and roundabouts. There is a lot of very, very important and very, very well-intentioned stuff happening. The Web Foundation, the moment we started, we realized that the moment we went to the meetings, we found lots of other organizations working around, and in fact, with the Alliance for the Affordable Internet, the Web Foundation played a sort of secretariat role of just coordinating all the other many organizations, some of which have been working in these areas for a long time. So there are lots of places near you, maybe somebody who's working on this. It's good to welcome the people-centered internet to this world, and we'll be very interested to understand how the people-centered internet, which I gather, whose mission is that the web should serve people, and we have the mission that the web should serve humanity, and that sounds like pretty similar. So we should, it looks as though we should be doing lots of good things together, but really, really important things which are much more complex, things which will involve tying together of many more people. Particularly, we feel at the moment making sure that we have in the room talking together government, industry, and people, and individuals, and people standing for individuals, citizens, consumers, out there in those discussions. It is a time of concern. It is a time of worry. In other cases, it is a time of fear. But all those things have got to give you hope. Focus on the hopeful things. Focus on the people you can work to, and work. We need to just work really hard. We need to work really hard together, and we can fix it. You know, Doug gave that great example of a computer system. When he did it, I was amazed it didn't crash. They said, in fact, it did crash for a 24th of a second. It crashed, but then it came back up again. But systems do, when you build them, they do have bugs, and to a certain extent, the system we got to go, which includes the digital piece and it includes the social piece. Everything is a socio-technical system. It's a bit buggy. We just need to think about the constraints that we want to put on the next version. But we can do it. We can fix those bugs. We can do a mid-course correction. We can get to where the web is a net benefit to all of humanity. Thanks.